They talked about everything: where they would live, whether they wanted children, what kind of wedding, whose family they would spend the holidays with. They stayed up late working through all of it. They were thorough. They were thoughtful. They were proud of how well they communicated. They never talked about money. Not really. They talked around it. They talked about splitting the rent, about whose account would pay which bill, about whether to open a joint checking account. They made practical arrangements, they handled logistics, and they called that the money conversation. It was not. The real money conversation, the one that determines whether two people can actually build a life together without the slow erosion of resentment, the sudden shock of discovering they have been living inside completely different financial realities. That conversation almost never happens. Not because couples are avoidant, not because they are not smart, because nobody told them what the real conversation is actually about. This video is about that conversation, not budgets, not who pays for what, the conversation underneath all of that, the one that, if you have it, changes everything, and if you never have it, eventually surfaces anyway. But by then, usually in the middle of a fight about something that was never really about money. 1. What money meant where you grew up. Every person walking into a relationship carries a complete financial education. It was not formal. Nobody sat them down and taught it, but it was thorough. Every household has a money culture, a set of beliefs, behaviors, and emotional associations that form invisibly around the child living inside it. In some households, money was discussed openly, numbers were shared, decisions were explained, savings were celebrated. Children grew up with a sense that money was manageable and that understanding it was normal. In others, money was a source of shame, kept private, never discussed at the table. Children learned that asking about it was intrusive or worrying or somehow a sign that something was wrong. In some households, money came and went with dramatic swings, feast and famine in unpredictable cycles. Children in those households learned at a cellular level that money cannot be trusted, that it is best spent now because later it will be gone. In others, scarcity was constant and quiet, not dramatic, just always thin, always careful, always managing the gap between what came in and what went out. Every one of these households produces a different adult, with different instincts, different fears, different definitions of what financial safety feels like, and when two of those adults share a life, they bring two complete and different financial educations into the same space and almost never compare notes. The first real money conversation is not about your accounts. It is about your childhood, not as blame, not as therapy, as orientation. You need to understand where your partner learned what money means before you can understand why they do what they do with it now, and they need the same from you. 2. What financial security actually feels like to each of you. This one sounds simple. It is not. Ask two people what financial security feels like, and you will often get two completely different answers, not just in number, but in kind. For one person, security is a specific number in a savings account. 6 months of expenses, a year, a specific figure that once reached allows them to exhale. Below it, they feel exposed. Above it, they feel safe. For another person, security is not a number at all. It is a feeling. It is the absence of a certain anxiety. It is knowing that the job is stable, that the relationship is solid, that the people they love are okay. The account balance is almost secondary. Neither of these is wrong, but if you never surface them, they will collide in ways you cannot anticipate. The person for whom security is a number will feel genuinely unsafe when the account dips, even if every other indicator is fine. Their partner, for whom security is ambient rather than numerical, will not understand the anxiety, will not be able to validate it, may even feel accused by it. Meanwhile, the person for whom security is feeling will make decisions that alarm their partner, spending when the number is low, relaxing when the partner needs to be building. Not because they are careless, because their security measure is different and they are registering it as fine. Two different security systems running in the same house with no shared interface. This is what produces the money fights that seem to come from nowhere. They do not come from nowhere. They come from two sets of standards that were never compared. 3. What you would do if the income stopped. Most couples have never had this conversation. Not specifically, not honestly, not in enough detail to actually know where they each stand. It matters more than almost any other financial conversation because it reveals something that the ordinary financial conversations do not. It reveals how much risk each person is actually carrying. And more importantly, it reveals whether they are carrying it together or separately. Ask your partner specifically, if your income disappeared tomorrow, what would you want to happen? How long could we go? What would you be willing to change? What would you protect at all costs? What is the version of this life we could live at half the income? The answers will tell you things that a shared bank account will not. Some people have a plan, it is clear, it is rehearsed. They have run the numbers. They feel prepared. Their partner has never thought about it, and the question alone produces anxiety that does not go away quickly. Some people would want to draw down savings aggressively to maintain lifestyle as long as possible. Their partner would want to immediately reduce spending, renegotiate everything, protect the savings at all costs. Neither is wrong. But if you have never discovered which one you each are, you will find out during the emergency. And that is the worst time to find out. 4. What enough looks like to each of you. This is the conversation that most couples skip entirely because they assume the answer is the same. It is almost never the same. One person's enough is, we never have to worry. A specific level of security that removes financial anxiety from the daily experience. Everything above that is a bonus. Once the numbers hit, the pressure releases. Another person's enough is, we keep building. There's no ceiling. Not out of greed, out of a deep need for momentum, for progress, for the feeling that things are moving forward. Stopping to them feels like stagnation. The building is part of the point. These two approaches can coexist in a marriage, but only if they have been named. Only if both people understand that the other is operating from a genuinely different definition of what they are building toward. Without that conversation, the person who has reached enough will feel constantly pulled by a partner who never seems satisfied. The person still building will feel constantly undermined by a partner who keeps suggesting they slow down, relax, that they have done enough. The conversation is not about convincing each other to switch positions. It is about understanding that both positions exist, that both are real, and that the life you build together has to make room for something in between. 5. Who handles what and why? Most couples land on financial roles by default. One person pays the bills, one person tracks the accounts, one person makes the investment decisions. These roles develop organically based on who expressed more interest, who had more time, who was more anxious, who cared more. The problem is not the division of labor. The problem is when the division becomes so complete that one partner has no real understanding of the couple's financial picture. Not because they are excluded, because they deferred, because the arrangement felt fine, until the person handling everything is suddenly not there, through job loss, illness, or the end of the marriage, and the other partner has to navigate a financial reality they were never part of building. The conversation is not about making both partners equally involved in every financial decision. It is about making sure both partners could function independently if they had to, that both people know where the accounts are, what the debts are, what the assets are, and what the plan is, that neither person is financially dependent in a way that leaves them vulnerable. This is not a pessimistic conversation, it is a protective one. The couples who have it are not the ones who expect failure, they are the ones who understand that protection is part of the plan. 6. What you would never compromise on. Every person has a financial non-negotiable, something they would not give up regardless of circumstances, not because it is rational, because it is identity, because it represents something about how they choose to live that no budget conversation should be allowed to remove. For some people, it is charitable giving. No matter what the account looks like, some amount goes to people who have less. This is not an expense, it is a value. It is who they are. For some people, it is education, for their children or for themselves. No matter what else has to be cut, that line does not move. For some people, it is travel, not luxury, just movement, just the experience of being somewhere different, of expanding the frame. They will give up a lot before they give up that. For some people, it is a specific security number that they will not go below. Not for any reason, not for any opportunity. That number is the floor and it does not flex. If you have never named your non-negotiable to your partner, it will emerge eventually, usually during a financial stress when something needs to be cut, and what you will not cut surprises the person who thought they knew you. And the surprise has a second layer. Not just that you have this thing, but that you never said so. Name it before the crisis, not to make it unmovable, to make it visible. So your partner can factor it into the decisions you make together, so it can be respected before it has to be defended. The conversation itself. None of this requires a formal financial meeting. It does not require a spreadsheet or an agenda. It requires two people who have decided that building a life together means building an honest one. It starts with one question, not about money, about meaning. What did watching your parents handle money teach you? What did it make you afraid of? What did it make you want to avoid? What did it make you need? The answers to those questions will tell you more about your partner's financial behavior than any account statement ever will, and they will help your partner understand yours. Money in a marriage is never just about money. It is about what each person is trying to protect, what they are afraid of losing, what they are reaching toward, what they cannot name but feel very clearly. The couples who build well together are not the ones who agreed about money from the beginning. They are the ones who understood each other well enough to navigate the places they did not agree, who knew each other's financial language before the stakes got high, who had the conversation before they needed it, Have it now, before you need it, not once, regularly. Because who you each are financially will change with income, with children, with time, with loss, with growth. And staying close to your partner's financial reality is part of staying close to them. If this is a conversation your relationship is missing, this video is the start of it. Share it with someone who needs to have it. And if you want to go deeper, there is more here waiting for you.